lovely. How absolutely lovely. Um, I just also realized we didn't do any captions or anything. This is an off night. Um, and how fitting for what's going on in the house.
Mm-hmm.
People are really off their rockers. Let's get into it. Yeah. Let's do it. I am Kyle Petty, and I am joined by the ever so fabulous Gina Morgino and the forever handsome John Dunphy. This is Jury Duty, your favorite Big Brother podcast. Yeah, we're actually talking about Big Brother tonight. Fun. Um, okay. I know we covered some stuff on the space last night, but for those who missed it, those who are not on the Twitter, we should at least still run through the episode real quick. You know, even though there's a lot more good stuff that happened outside.
The last 24 hours have been wild.
Yeah, and I don't know even like the full scoop of this, so I'm really excited like to hear more. All right, so first, we had to play the head of household competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, because we didn't know what had happened. We had the qualifying people. Who was it? Michael, Taylor,
7.
Jasmine.
Jasmine gets me every time.
It was Michael, Taylor, Joseph, Amira, Jasmine, Kyle, and Monty.
Fantastic.
Jasmine, MEAN. She is a mean girl.
Yeah, accent on the mean. I don't even know what this competition was because, as I was saying, I was cleaning up the kitchen because I didn't care.
Pie eating, true or false.
It was the worst thing I've ever seen.
How did this actually work? Like there was a question and they had to eat their way to something?
So it was a question and they had felt letters of a T and an F in this big pie thing. And they had to just stick their face in it and find the right letter. And if everybody got it right, it was like the 2 that took the longest were eliminated, and then they would just move on to the next round and the pies would get bigger as the rounds went on. It looked like something out of Nickelodeon. It was just real bad.
It was a terrible competition hosted by the worst possible host ever.
Now this was even worse than who was it last week?
Kyle.
And Kyle, yes it was.
The jousting.
Oh yeah, the Kyle and the jousting.
Much
this
worse.
Was worse.
Mm-hmm.
This was so bad. I couldn't stand it. You know how like when you start to read something and there's people around you like start using a funny voice, but then like after a few minutes everybody gets tired of this voice that you're using and you're like, all right. It was like that, but it just never ended. Daniel just continued.
Right, he like couldn't read the room and realized like maybe this isn't landing and he just kept going.
Yikes. I'm glad I missed it.
Yeah, it was not good.
Awful.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, what, they had to eat their way to victory here.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else noteworthy before we reveal?
No, the only thing it was the worst competition. It was the worst competition I've ever seen, and it took 40 minutes to get through it.
Yikes. Well,
the worst competition is still that stupid jewelry thing on premiere night. That was the worst competition ever.
Straight up, this is pretty up there.
I don't even know I still don't know what the jewelry thing like was. They just had to
well, because we didn't see whatever they were looking at.
Right. I didn't really understand it. Yeah, I didn't get it. But much to most of America's chagrin, we did have a winner of this this horrid competition, and it was Jasmine.
That's right.
The caption.
Yeah, Jasmine. How do we feel about this?
I think it sucks.
I was really surprised after the very obvious flub that she had during, part one of this HOH slash backstage pass competition. Because she so very obviously touched the ground.
Oh yeah, this is such a travesty. She touched that ground. She did.
Yeah, no, she absolutely did. She absolutely did. And there was that clip that was kind of like circulating around Twitter, and people trying to say that was just like the wind or something from her foot. I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I think she hit.
There's been so much discourse on this, and I still don't know where I land.
Oh, really?
You have some
It's
doubts
not
on
very
both.
clear to you
To
that
be
she hit the
fair,
ground?
I haven't studied the clip as thoroughly as I feel as though you have, but
I don't know. I just felt like because Jasmine, so Taylor had a little bit of a slip, but saved herself, and it was clear that like she totally saved herself. But
yeah.
I feel like everyone, for the most part, was like, "Oh, Jasmine definitely touched the ground. She definitely touched the ground." Julie even started like stopping her, like after she got down, and like I don't know. I don't know about this.
She hit the ground. I'm sorry. She hit the ground. But, unfortunately, mean people win sometimes. And that is what happened. Jasmine wins. So now she's got her busted ankle. And everybody's really waiting on her. Hand and foot. Hand and foot. I mean, a lot of this really.
So irritated by this. You twisted your ankle. You're not in a freaking full body cast. What are you doing?
Yeah,
you can
hot
wipe
button.
your own butt when you use the bathroom. You don't need Nicole to do it for you. What is happening? What is happening?
Big man.
I
don't
hate
know.
it.
It's very uncomfortable. And I know a lot of this unfolded really on the feeds, but it's not really a spoiler. Okay, so don't get mad at us just yet. But this is awful.
This whole injury thing too. I have a coworker right now, very sweet woman at work who broke her foot. Okay, didn't realize how bad it was for the last 2 weeks and has been walking around on it at work. Finally decided this past weekend, I better go to the doctor to get this looked at, and is now like having it taken care of. But this person was walking around on a broken foot for 2 weeks, not even complaining, was in some pain, not complaining. This is someone that has a sprained ankle that the doctors even said it'll be fine in a week. Just put some tape on it, put some ice on it, and she's having people wipe her ass in there. What is happening?
What was the context around this, though? Like, did Nicole offer? Did Jasmine ask for help? Like,
regardless, I
don't know what's better.
If someone offers to wipe my butt, I'm going to tell them, no, you're not wiping my butt.
I don't care who you are, how close we are, not gonna happen. But also, it's just like, no matter how it started, like, your ankle doesn't affect. I don't understand how those two things go together. Like, how does that affect anything? What do you mean? Like, she's got people cooking for her. She got, like, your hands aren't broken. What's happening?
I mean, all right. To be fair, I can see some of the cooking. That's a lot to go up and down the steps just to make a taco. Like, I mean, if you're going down anyway, you're going to make something to eat anyway. I mean, you could toss some on a plate for me and just bring it on up. Come on, be a doll. But the way that she's acting towards Taylor with all this stuff, like still calling her a hoe, and then she was still saying that she wanted her to go home.
Taylor's bringing her ice packs, elevating her foot, helping her out.
Right.
This bitch is trying so hard. She asks Taylor to make food for her, and Taylor does it, and then she complains that it's not good enough. Like, shut up.
Right. See, and that's where I feel like it crosses the line.
Yeah.
Too much. No, that's why she's Jasmine.
Oh, Jasmine.
Is there really any more in this episode to really do other than like the nominees at this point? Because I mean, it really was so
literally
much of that
the only other thing that happened was that weird like Pooch and Indy spatula thing that I wish I hadn't seen. Kyle, do you not know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know what that was.
There was a whole segment about the fact that like her job is being a sex therapist and like
I think it's sex coach.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Same difference.
No.
No, but it's not the same thing.
I don't
what
think
do
so.
I know?
Listen, I mean, we'll see if any of the sex therapists come out and tell us something. We're gonna get canceled because we're trying to liken them as the same. But what about the spatula now?
Just some about. I don't even know. I was like half paying attention because I was like, I don't want this. It was like something about her like spanking him with a spatula and being like, I don't know if that's what he likes, then that's what he likes. And I was like, I don't need to know him like that.
Oh my.
Like
This
you do you. I didn't need to know Pooch like that. Like
this is from the internet. Sex therapy is the why and when, whereas sex coaching is the what and the how.
Sex therapy is the what?
No, sex therapy is the why and
why
when.
and when.
Whereas
I was asking
is
a
the
question.
What and how.
The why and when. All right.
There you go. There's the difference.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, it's too much. That's too much unravel at this point.
But like, it's also just like of everything that has happened in the house over the last couple of days, that is what you decided was important enough to put into the edit after 40 minutes of a competition nobody cares about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because we don't know what else to do, because then we're going to have to shine too much light on the fact that we're hating Taylor for no reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why this happens, because so much of the conversation is so centered around her. And if we're going to ignore that part of the storyline, then this is the filler stuff that we have to get.
Yeah.
Sadly.
It's so annoying.
It's so annoying. But Jasmine selects Pooch and Taylor for the block. Okay, Pooch and Taylor. Telling
just
both
the
of
way
them that
Pooch
they're
wanted
clowns.
it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this man volunteered himself on the block.
Which, why? Why?
It is only week 2. You do not know these people yet. You're not set. I don't care what alliances you think you're in. This early in the game, it is too soon to trust anybody.
I don't know that there's any situation that I would volunteer, though. You know, even if this was down the line and these are people that I've been playing the game with and I feel really, really good about them. Like, I'm not saying that I wouldn't go.
I mean, it's not
but I
the
wouldn't
first time it's
volunteer.
happened. It's not the first time it's happened, but not in this circumstance.
No, I'm not volunteering.
Right. I could see, like, if I was already on the block and, like, it seemed sure that I was going home and, like, in a last-ditch effort, I was like, if you guys save me, like, you know, going forward, if you need to use me as a pawn or anything like that, but not, like, specifically telling the HOH of this week, like, put me up right now. Like,
yeah. Really just terrible gameplay. Just terrible. And I'd love to get into why this might be terrible. So you know what time it is, unless there's something else for our casual friends.
Nothing else happened yesterday. There's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, because we're no longer keeping it cash, okay? For our casual friends. We are switching over now. We're going to spoilers. We're going to feeds, all right? Drop out if you don't want to know. But if you're here, let's go. That worked out nice. Oh, some people left. Okay, fair enough. You got your warning. Or they were like, this is a good time.
They were like, yeah, this is a good time.
This is a good time. The ticker will drop and they'll think it's that. That's all right. All right, so where do we start?
Where do we start?
Yeah, where do we start? Well, so tides are changing. I guess we'll start there. You know, it seems that Amira and Michael were the first to start saying, I'm not so sure that I want Taylor to go. I believe that's where that started. And then Jasmine was still on the, you know, obviously Taylor needs to go, but I don't really care if Pooch goes too. Yeah. Which is, I mean, essentially what you're saying when you put somebody up as a pawn, especially this early. Yeah, you're definitely the next person I care the least about.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so where do we go here? Where do we go? What do you think of Amira making this decision now that she now seems to be so open to playing with Taylor?
I genuinely don't know how I feel about it.
I don't. Yeah, because she still seems to be like very mean, unnecessarily at times. I think it's just, I guess, just purely strategy. I guess, like thinking this is another number if I start trying to work with this person, because sure, people weren't expecting to lose Paloma, so you did lose a number there.
You did.
I mean, she's not being any less mean to Taylor. Like, there was still a situation, I think it was today or yesterday, where like Taylor had brought in a bunch of like face masks and was like, "Ooh, like girls' day, let's do this," and then they all did it without her. Like, as soon as she left the room, they were like, "Oh, let's do it now." So like Taylor's not a part of it. Like, they're still running out of rooms when she's walking into them. Like, they're still treating her like garbage.
Yeah. That whole thing was her. It was Amira and Daniel, right? That one clip that I kept seeing on Twitter of them running away. Yeah. I think that the, especially for Amira, I think Michael actually like genuinely would like to work with Taylor, but I feel like Amira, it's purely just like a strategy. Like, let's keep this person around because they might be able to help us get a few other people out, but really we're still getting done for Taylor.
I think Michael genuinely wants to work with her, but it is still this thing of like, she is the house target, so if I loudly and openly want to work with her, then that's also going to put a target on me for going against what everybody else is wanting. So it seems like he's kind of keeping his mouth shut to fly under the radar and not become public enemy number 2 for like trying to cozy up to Taylor, but it seems like he genuinely does want to work with her.
Okay. Did the veto ceremony happen today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So what happened before the veto competition? What else? Let's go in order here. We'll go in order. Jasmine was basically being served up in the room, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Still like the rudeness to Taylor. I don't know if there's anything else that was really noteworthy that we didn't already say. The ass wiping was in between there. And then they play, and then they played veto. And then obviously, Michael wins again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's really...
Which again, like it kind of goes along with what I was just saying too, of like, because there was this whole thing back and forth that he was like, do I use it or do I not? Because you could tell he wanted to use it on Taylor, but it was still like, is that going to put a target on me? Because also he's now won, there's only been 2 vetoes and he's won them both.
Yeah.
And he used it once, and if he uses it again, now it's like, are you just like going against the HOH? Or you like, he did have like this kind of back and forth within himself of, I don't know. I know it is smart for me to keep Taylor here, but I don't know if it's smart of me to use the veto to keep her here, or if we should like collectively try to shift the target.
And I do sort of understand that, and I think I kind of agree. Because at that point, now we're really just talking game. We're not talking the reason why she's a target. It's really just the fact that she is. Like at that point, his game would be affected.
Yeah, I mean, he used it once. But it was on himself. So everyone's
that's an automatic forgiven.
Right.
Yeah,
but this,
it's just in conjunction. It's like
right. Like now you're going to use it for the first time on someone else, and it happens to be like the biggest target in the house. Even if people don't necessarily want to see her leave right now, like nobody wants to see that veto get used on her.
Right. Because it also then it is a showing of the cards.
Yeah.
Like clearly I have intentions to work with this person. Because I'm taking them down.
Right.
The only way it could have been used is if Jasmine or if one of her allies convinced Jasmine that like Taylor had to come down because they wanted to put someone else up in her place. Like the only way that you could use it this week, I think, if you're Michael, is if for some reason that alliance decides
if it becomes Jasmine's idea.
Yeah. But
she doesn't seem to be as hardcore against or for her going anymore. Is that true? I was only reading little tweets from those update accounts.
It seems like she kind of is down for any option at this point. Like she doesn't. She does still want Taylor out, but not so much that it's like Taylor needs to go right now. You know,
Right.
because
But
Pooch isn't very favored by everybody at the moment either.
Right. It just sucks that like the willingness to keep Taylor around isn't necessarily out of like a desire to work with her. It's like a desire to just like
bring
it's like
her
along
Pooch
as
has
long as
gotten
she's
worse.
useful.
Well, it's that, but it's also like Pooch has gotten worse. So it's not like they like Taylor more. It's that they dislike Pooch more now. Yeah.
What is Pooch doing that people are not liking?
He's a strange man.
I saw something about Joseph wanted to rub his bulge on him or something like that.
There's been a lot of weird stuff with Pooch and Joe. I don't know what's going on there.
But like, what else is happening? Like, why else is he strange?
I've heard people like some of the complaints that I've heard about Pooch is that he does a lot of talking and it doesn't really matter who it's to. Like he's just he's got a little bit of a big mouth. We'll kind of like go around the house and talk about his game, other people's games, things that are going on. Like people just don't feel comfortable. They don't know if they can trust him because of how much he talks to other people. I know that was one thing that I heard. I've even heard some of the other house guests just flat out saying like Pooch is annoying.
Yeah.
Because he just never stops. I've also noticed he seems to be like very touchy with people, especially Joseph, but like other people too. Like he's constantly like putting his hands on people and stuff. It's like, I don't know. It's just, that's something that I've noticed. I could see all of these things contributing.
It's all of those reasons. And it is also kind of a numbers game because they lost Paloma. And now if you lose Taylor, that's 2 women out. And the men are seen to be a close-knit group.
Right.
So the women are just also threatened that they're going to be outnumbered.
Sure. And I think Pooch was the one that was leading a lot of those conversations with some of the girls too, right? Being like, Paloma left, now we should get Taylor, then it's Brittany. So it's not even just them
Pooch
like,
was flat out.
Yeah, Pooch has been like leading this.
He's been flat out saying like we have to get the women out first, and then we'll like that he specifically wants the women out first. Like he's said it multiple times to multiple people, just like flat out.
Yeah.
Okay. I was a little surprised. I thought for sure that when we saw
it did
Taylor
kind of just like happen very quickly.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, because like I'm scrolling like up and down. I'm like, this changed very, very quickly, and I don't have any context around any of this.
Yeah.
So I also understand that alcohol was distributed last night, and this was to celebrate Indy's citizenship. Yes?
No one really knows what it's for. Like they were told, like,
just for funsies.
They were told come into the DR, and then there was alcohol there. People are saying that it was for Joseph's birthday, but Joseph's birthday isn't for another week. Then people were saying maybe it's because of Indy's citizenship, but like no one really knows specifically why this party happened. It just kind of happened. I don't know.
It's really weird, honestly. Like this is the cast that you choose. Like,
yeah,
right.
And it's also like if you look at the pictures too, it was like 4 beers and 2 bottles of wine for like all 15 house guests. So it's not like it's so funny to me to hear that like things happen because people were like so tipsy, and I'm like, there's 15 people and there were 4 beers. Like, how did this happen?
And 2 bottles of wine?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
There had to be more.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of like a placebo effect that people were getting too. You have a glass of wine in your hand, 15
maybe.
strangers in the house, the tension that's been in there, like now you're all drinking together.
And granted, there are some people in the house that don't drink, so like that does take away some people, but like it still is like not enough for the amount of mess that we saw this morning.
Right.
So tell me about some of the mess. I saw some things on the Twitter.
Yeah, what'd you see?
I saw that Taylor wants to fuck Elvis. Like, is that like what? And then recanted later.
Of all the things to like wake up to this morning too, because I very vividly remember on our Twitter space last night being like, "Get out of here, Daniel. Taylor doesn't want you."
Right.
Yeah, what are you talking about? She's stalking you. And then I'm like, maybe she has been.
God.
And now there are a lot of like there's a lot of discourse about this because people are like, was this strategic? Because before that conversation happened, there was a lot of like Taylor talking to Alyssa about how Alyssa's into Kyle, and like talking to all the other girls about who they're into, and then Taylor started talking about the one guy that nobody spoke about. So like people were kind of thinking about it as like, oh, is like was this like so Taylor kind of like nips it so that they don't think that she's as much of a threat and then like gets in their good graces a little bit? Like, was this strategic or was this just like Taylor was drunk?
Oh man. I hope it was something strategic because never mind the fact that he just has not been very nice. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not. I'm sure there are some redeeming qualities in everyone, but but like, come on now. I mean, we already know there's not much redeeming though. Here's the thing: we've seen enough.
Mm-hmm. And I
But
get upset
damn,
about
he's
this
ugly.
too because
He is ugly. I'm sorry. Come on now, Miss Michigan. With that,
And I get upset about this too because this is this is where like we, we touched on this a little bit last night, I think, of like how there are the people that are actively against Taylor and there are the people who aren't but are keeping their mouths shut so that they don't like to like protect their game or whatever.
mm-hmm.
In this moment, like if you hear Taylor going on and on and on about this man that has been so vile to her, if you're Michael, if you're Brittany and you're not against her, like be a team player, like pull her aside and be like, girl, like
Stop.
lower your voice. He's not being kind to you. Like he's not a good dude. Like
He's jerk. Stop.
Yeah.
like that bothered me that no one was trying to like help a girl out, you know?
I know.
And she was going on for a while. Like she said some like graphic stuff and I was like, girl,
She
not
did.
this.
I heard there was talk about condoms and things.
Yep. There was a whole thing where like she was like talking about
Condoms.
how he had apparently told people that he had to bring his own condoms because the regular size doesn't fit, so he needed like the magnum size ones, which like first of all, if anybody's telling you that, run as fast as you can in the opposite direction.
Oh, just awful.
Bad. There was a lot that I woke up to this morning that I wish I had never read.
My goodness gracious. What's Turner been up to? Anything from Turner? Turner's been quiet.
Apparently not showering. Apparently.
Okay, we were talking about this before. Like, it's so hard to figure out like what's a real update and what's like a fake update. Like, this whole season feels like some kind of like cartoon version of the show.
Yeah.
And I read something on Twitter earlier. Somebody said that Turner just like got into the shower like fully clothed.
Yep.
And just like ran water over his head.
There was also like I saw an update
Something
yesterday that
like
like,
that, like-
he had like he walked up to somebody and there was I guess something in his hair and they were like, dude, you just like wash your hair, and he was like, oh, I just got out of the shower. All right, like I'll go back in. And it's like, well, if you just got out of the shower, is your hair dirty? Like, did you not? Do you know how showers work, my dear? I'm a little concerned.
Where did they find these people?
They're also like people were laughing. I don't know if he had said it or if someone had just noticed that like he hasn't been called to the DR in like 3 days. Like, they're just not talking to him like at all. He's very irrelevant to the season right now.
Yikes.
Yeah, I saw that too. He apparently said, yeah, they haven't called me in days. And then somebody responded to him like, oh, I guess that means they think you're bad for TV.
That's so embarrassing. Just call him in there and just act like you're talking to him. You don't have to actually film any of it. You don't have to use any of it. Just,
Well,
it's just such a wild group of people. I'm very confused top to bottom on this season.
maybe they're not calling him in because he stinks.
Well, that's what people were saying
DR.
on Twitter. They were like, they just don't want him stinking up the DR, and he's not doing anything important in the game anyway, so let's just not call him in.
So bad.
Stinking up the DR.
This is so bad.
Is that it from our party? That's it?
I mean, there was some like Alyssa Kyle stuff that like apparently he's been turning her down for a couple of days, but she keeps like trying to go for it. And, like he very clearly doesn't want to showmance her, but she really does want to showmance him. What else did I see? I don't remember. I mean, like most of what I was seeing on the updates were the Taylor stuff, but I know I read other things.
Well, then they must not have been that interesting.
I mean, what's more interesting than the Taylor stuff? Like,
well, I didn't say that wasn't interesting enough. I was looking for more interesting things.
But I'm saying, in comparison, who wants to talk about anything else?
I suppose. Well, who knows? You could just be forgetting something. But tell me things about the veto ceremony today. So it happened, huh?
It happened. Do you want to know the results or?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're in spoiler land.
Was not used.
Yeah. I had a feeling.
Me too. I was hoping it would get used on Taylor, but figured it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I'm seeing, it seems like the votes are going to swing towards a Pooch eviction for now. But there is also that, like, is it true or is it not thing that we saw from Spoiler King yesterday of, like, did someone on production tip him off?
Right.
Like, does he have the wherewithal to be able to, like, now campaign enough to talk his way out of it? I don't know. Especially now that, like, we know that the eviction episode isn't airing on Thursday, but do we know if the eviction itself is being filmed on Thursday, or do they have an extra day?
The last I saw was... That changes a lot.
That could, in theory, change the way that it's campaign. Because if there's an extra day to campaign and flip the vote, that could change things.
You saw how quickly it went to Pooch. When this whole thing really opened up being on Taylor. But
I will say, like, this morning, whether or not she intended to campaign with all this Daniel stuff last night, the tides definitely are turning, because I have heard multiple people today saying that they want a Taylor HOH next week.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Something happened.
Yeah, I read that too. I think that'd really be best for her.
Yeah.
She needs that. She needs a week of good favor.
Yeah.
And some power. Yeah.
I got to tell you, like, in terms for this week's eviction, like, I just, knowing, like, how Pooch is kind of in that house and that he's already been rubbing people the wrong way, I almost could see, like, if that was true, that it was spoiled to him somehow, that, like, people were talking about sending him home, I almost think that could work against him. Because then I could see him going on, like, this campaign where he's just way too much.
Coming on too strong,
and, like, and even gets on everybody's nerves even more.
Yeah, I could see that, because I don't think he knows how to play this game well, if at all. You know,
right?
I could totally see that. Well, I guess time will tell. We just have a lot of time. It's only Monday. Like, so much can change. You know.
Well, I know.
And that's why I'm concerned about what's happening with the eviction.
Yeah, right. Sharon Tharp said she was going to get to the bottom of it.
Of when it's happening, you mean?
Yeah, she wanted to get an answer, and she said she was going to find out.
Well, if Sharon's on the case, then we know we're in good hands.
I could have sworn I saw that. Oh, she said, I asked if the eviction is taping Thursday. I'll let you know if I hear back. That was 7 hours ago.
Ooh. All right.
I'll accept it if it's pre-taped.
I would accept it too,
because I don't be upset.
Like, I don't want the game to be
affected.
I did see that there's no exit press.
I saw that. Yes. Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
You just don't want anybody to talk to anyone. Just go home. Just go home and don't
pretend it never happened.
Because you know that's what CBS did to some people from Survivor 42.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, with some of the drama that followed Survivor 42, they were like not allowing certain interviews to happen, little reunions and things.
Oh wow.
Yeah. After all that Omar and Drea stuff.
Huh. I didn't really pay attention to that season, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that got interesting. Did you either of you actually watch 42?
I saw some of it, but I fell off.
Some.
Yeah, there was.
I know there was some drama. I don't know much about it.
I forget now what it was. Omar had shared that Drea had some powers or stuff, kind of like blabbed some of her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then she went to Ponderosa, where they go once they get evicted or whatever, for lack of eliminated, snuffed. And she was making a lot of terrible accusations, basically saying that a lot of his moves were like racially charged, trying to get like the black black girl out. Then even challenged whether or not, and I don't remember what his religion is, but when he was praying, she was basically challenging whether or not he was actually praying or if he was just using it as a tactic to get close to people in their conversations.
Oh wow!
Like she was saying like a lot of wild things.
Yeah.
And so apparently when Omar ended up at this Ponderosa, he was very coolly received. And when he found out why, he was like horrified. And then he said this apparently to Rob Has a Podcast during his deep dive. And then when all this stuff started to come out, then apparently that part of the interview got removed.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, and
wow.
then all of a sudden, all these post-season interviews were getting canceled, because CBS did not want them talking about this stuff. Yes,
interesting. No, I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, CBS be trying it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're
Speaking
always watching the eye.
CBS and interviews. You did get into this a little bit on The Space last night, but I want to hear you talk more about your thoughts on Miss Julie.
In terms of what now? How she basically said that we're hypocrites
I mean,
and such.
You made some bold statements last night about saying you agree with Evil Dick and maybe we should can her.
I'm on board with this too, honestly. I don't care anymore. We deserve better. I love her, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's part of it. And I think she had her time. But I really want somebody who's just a little bit more in it. When you see how
we were even saying last night, like Arissa is like tweeting with us, like she's like so invested in what's going on. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry, from Australia that you were saying
Sonia.
that like
Sonia
is like equally involved. Julie doesn't know what's happening until she gets her cue cards. Like she's got no idea what's going on in the show.
She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know what the fans want. Like even when you look at Jeff Probst, like he understands the entire picture. Like the survivor community, and like there is, they talk to each other as if like they're one almost. Like even just the way he addresses them in the show, it's like, oh, hey guys, we're doing this a little bit differently this time, because we're all survivor heads,
Yeah,
it's cool because it makes you feel like he's just as excited to see how this is going to unfold as we are.
Right.
And like Julie is just not that. She doesn't even know what's going on. Like
and like I'm sure she's very, very busy and does many things, but like this is your like for Julie, right? This being the host of Big Brother US is like your bread and butter, right?
This is your job. It's your job.
This is what you are known for. This show runs from July to September. It's not a year-round thing. You're telling me you can't, for 2.5 months, get really into your job, which you probably get paid very well for? You're the host of a television show. Like, you should be
especially because like Big Brother has such a big and such a vocal fan base. Like this is the show to cater to that. And like, granted, I'm not going to sit here and say the online Big Brother fan base is always on point. Like, things get a little dicey. We can all agree on that. But to sit there and say like hypocritical, like don't judge any of these people, and like what, like no.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean by that?
Even less,
especially because like this season in particular, like at most of the time, but like this season in particular, nobody's criticisms of the house guests are unwarranted. People are just looking for some accountability on what's happening because there's a lot of ugly things happening.
I just want to ask. Is it too much to ask that the host of the show knows what's happening on the show? Is it too much to ask? And then like when the fans are upset about something, like is it too much to ask for you to not call everybody hypocrites?
Because there is no way. I refuse to believe that if she knew the extent of what was happening with Taylor, that would have still been her response. You know?
Yeah. And,
I can't accept that.
Gosh. Even less than this. Do you remember, like, preseason, Sharon Tharp had an interview with her? I don't remember if she asked a question of, like, or maybe Sharon just made, like, the off comment, but it came up about the having an expanded jury segment and more questions in the finale. And she's like, I'm really excited to have a 2-hour finale or something like that. And then Julie was like, oh, so yeah, we usually just have, like, you know, the questions pre-picked. You want more questions? You don't want it to be, you want everybody to have a question? Oh, okay. And it's like, what? How do you not know we want that? Like, even if you know we're not getting it, then like
that's one of the biggest complaints about finale night is that the questions aren't genuine.
Yes, the questions are not genuine. Not everyone gets one. Like,
and we don't get the questions that we actually want the answers to.
Right. I want to go back to the days that they were asking jury questions and the people were sweating. They were like, oh gosh, I'm nervous for Gina's question because I know I burned her. She's probably going to direct a question at me. Like, what happened to that? Like, that's it's so not dicey. It's boring now. It's boring.
Like, the jury is the people who are picking the winner. They should get to ask what questions they want to know who the winner is. It doesn't matter what production wants to know, what wants people to talk about. Like, the jury is selecting the winner. These are our questions. This is what's going to help me decide who I'm voting for.
Yes, and the fact that Julie doesn't even know that that's what we want. Like, never mind if you're going to acknowledge it or not. You can say, like, fuck off, guys. Like, you're not.
Everyone complains about it every season.
Yes, but how do you're surprised? Like, she's mentioning this to you, and this is like a shock. Like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Even if the answer is still no, don't act like you don't know. Like, Arissa would know. Yeah, listen, we just can't. Sorry, guys. Yeah. It's like, well, at least you already knew.
Like, still, like, it's so, like, you can still get the questions approved before they're asked, but, like, let them ask what they genuinely want to know.
Yeah. Right. So the problem with that, I don't want the questions approved. You know,
but, like, I understand that, like, on live TV, like, some things can get a little dicey. So, like, maybe they want to, like, make sure, like,
but you know, that's live TV. That should just be part of the experience. That should make the finale so exciting, so fiery, so spicy.
No, I don't disagree.
And your questions can change based on some of the answers you hear to other people's questions. Like, they should not be limited to these prequel. I could sit there and be like, oh my gosh, no, wait a minute. Never mind my fucking question. I want to go back to that. Like, you know, like, yeah. No, I don't think they should be limited to that. We should really get to see that play out.
That's fair.
And if it's a real problem, then remove them. Jerry Springer style, you know? We see all these other reunions, you know, there's always security that gets called out. You know, if it gets wild, it gets wild. Let's see it.
Right.
Expect the unexpected.
Man.
Well, that's how I felt when you first said, like, I think I'm agreeing with Evil Dick. I was like, expect the unexpected. Kyle's going off script.
But seriously, I think I'm done now. Or let's try somebody out. Let's see how it feels. Maybe not scrap her right off.
After seeing the way that other countries do it, it's like, all right, this is what we could have.
Right.
Why do we got this?
Right. Why do we have this? And no, people's business decisions are theirs, but like, even just to say how in it, like, Jeff Probst is the executive producer of Survivor. Like, he's in it. Arissa is an executive producer. You know, she's in it. Julie doesn't even watch.
Yeah.
For all this, I bring back Jason from BB whatever and Big Brother Over the Top. Bring him back.
Oh.
Let him host it. Somebody who gives a damn, that, like, loves it, you know?
Like, because it sucks to think too, like, right? Like, we watch each week, we see these events unfold, we get emotionally invested in it. We have house guests that we like, that we root for, house guests that we really start to dislike. And then, like, as they get evicted from the house, you guys, I'm sure you agree, right? There's always questions that we would love to finally ask them now that they're out of the house. And it just always feels like when Julie is interviewing them, it feels like this is somebody that has not watched the show.
Yeah.
That has been given questions to ask this house guest based on things that have been going on in there. So like,
yeah, no.
And like
there's
it's
no
also
They
real
come out, they're
emotion
like,
behind.
wait, what's your name again? Right. Okay. I have some questions. Well, I'm going to ask you some questions as the cameras come up. Ready? All right, ready? The fans want to know, what is your favorite color?
And it's also like it's not unheard of to see like BB legends come back onto the show. Like in a pre-COVID world, we saw Dr. Will doing the roundtables for jury like before they came on. We saw, say what you will about Derek Levasseur, but like he would always come in for like that recap episode, and sometimes like people come back to host competitions. Like you can get a BB legend to come on and host the show. Someone who's a super fan, someone who's invested, someone who's in the trenches on Twitter,
Yeah. Do you think
I
Kat
know.
Dunn wouldn't do it?
Oh,
I would live.
I mean, how
I would
much
live.
fun would that be? Even if she just did like 1 week,
Yeah.
like that would be so much fun. This is like
Oh
Kat's
my god. It would be so chaotic in the best way.
week. It'd be so amazing. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm sorry. I am gonna stick with that. I like
That's
her.
Julie's judgment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. She's part of it, but like, maybe your time is.
I mean, it's
Maybe
been over
time's
20
up.
years. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
she's clearly not into it anymore.
Exactly. You don't care. You don't even watch it.
After 20 plus years, sometimes you need a change.
Yikes. And that's it. That's it. I don't have anything else.
I hope that Taylor stays this week. That's all I got. That's my last thing.
It seems likely.
Yeah.
I mean, for the wrong reasons. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all selfish. It's all gameplay. But you know what? Whatever.
But at the same time, is that not just Big Brother?
It is.
Like, unfortunately, we do also have this, like, pre-existing issue with everyone in the house and Taylor. But, like,
Right.
at its core, like, everyone's only keeping people to benefit themselves anyway, so fine.
Right.
I just wish they would treat her better.
Yes.
I feel like
Yes,
I will say that this week, like after Paloma left, this week started to feel slightly more like a game of Big Brother. Like it just had a slightly more that feel of like a Big Brother season. It's still a shitty one.
I mean, they are still,
But,
and we talked about this last night, they're still, like, naming alliances after Paloma and eulogizing her
I know.
a la
It's
Jesse
honestly-
on BB11.
it's so ridiculous. But it just felt like last week, the first week, it didn't feel like we were even watching Big Brother.
Mhm.
This week I started to feel like, okay, I think we're
getting a
starting to watch
sliver,
Big
yeah.
Brother, kind of like people are starting to kind of play. I think. So I don't know. This is just so weird, though. I don't know what we're watching.
It's kind of a
I'm
mess.
interested to see this buddy thing too. Whatever that is gonna
Oh,
be.
God, that's right. The BB besties.
What have they
that's
said
right.
so far?
I mean, it's just that I think it was in the Sharon Tharp interview, or it might have been Mike Bloom, I don't remember, that they're adding in a new twist to the game of like BB besties, which seems like even if it's only for like a week or two, there is going to be some kind of a duos something. Like we don't have a ton of information on what that means. And it's
Well, whatever it is,
like,
it is
listen,
sure to flop.
Like, I understand this show is like campy and silly, but when did it become so juvenile? Like, BB besties, we're gonna do a pie eating contest. Like, what is happening? What is going on?
Right. And if you watch Big Brother Australia, you'd be like, my God. Like, they're real competitions. They're doing real things.
Yeah.
They're not having a pie eating contest.
The music is so dramatic and like it's not like
Like I feel like I'm watching sometimes these competitions, those old like Nickelodeon game shows. Like it's like giving like Legends of the Hidden Temple and like
Wild and Crazy Kids.
Yes, I'm like, what is going on?
That's exactly what it feels like. I like the sound effects though. I'm gonna stand up for the sound effects. I
The
do
squeaky
like yes,
cart with the
Yes, and the fact that they left in the fact that her nomination
She dropped.
box fell over, like they would never
I,
keep that in
I thought
Australia.
of you too.
No way.
I thought of you because I saw somebody on Twitter like post that video of her dropping it and being like, "Imagine if she had the nomination wheel." Just
Yes,
like in my brain, her like scooting
I think
over
I
with the whole
retweeted
wheel.
that. I retweeted that. Yes,
It's
so
just-
good.
It was just like the way that it just plopped onto the ground, and then she just looked at it.
Just stared at it like Mickey.
Like, and then Nicole has to get up and like pick it up for her. Like,
But see, that I do like that those things stay in. Like I do like the cheesiness of ours, but we could still ramp up the competitions.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if we're going to spend a moment or two about things we change, I still
Let's get
would
into
like
it.
to, yeah, I would love to make a case for the have not competitions coming back. That is the biggest thing that I miss. You know, it started so many fights. You know, because it's Gina's
like,
fault
all
that
that
I'm on
happens
slop
now, too,
again.
All that happens now too is like they kind of like rotate it. Like, oh well, you were have not last week, so like I'll do it this week. And it's like that doesn't make it fun. Then I don't care. Like, all right, you're just not gonna eat for the week. Okay, like make it something. Don't just like do it. Like it's dumb.
Would you like to see them do like some of those old school comps, like where they all have to like work together to earn like food for the house, stuff like that? Where it's
Why
like
did
they're
they
not like
stop?
like they're not like competing against each other, but it's something where they're all like playing a game together, trying to like get different types of food in there. Like, what do you think?
I mean, I'd rather you give me the have not, because I like.
I'm saying
negative.
both. Let's get both in there.
Oh, both.
Because then imagine if you have to. Because then could you
I was gonna say we spent 45 minutes on a pie eating contest. I don't know if we got time for all these competitions.
I don't know if we have time for both.
Could you imagine how good it would be though if, like, at the beginning of the week, the whole house had to like compete in this one challenge to earn food for the whole house, and then 4 of them had to become have-nots. So you just had to play in this comp to like get food for the house, and you can't even eat any of it.
If you could find a way to work that in, then I do like that. I like that somebody's efforts are wasted. That's fun. That would create some discord. But
right? People would be pissed.
Yeah, I like it
like
better.
Second week in a row that I've earned this house steak and lobster, and I've been eating slop for 2 weeks. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a nice secondary thing, but the problem with that for me is that that's not directed enough at a person. That'd be directed at oneself, frustrated in thine own performance. I want you frustrated that you keep getting paired with that one that keeps making you lose.
but it could be fun to see, like, maybe somebody, you know, whoever chooses the have-nots for that week is like purposely picking this person, targeting them. You know what I mean? Like, that could be fun to watch.
I don't like. I didn't know we were choosing. You talked me out of it even more. I don't like that. I don't like any choosing. I don't like for one person to stand there and just go bonk, 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 bonk. I think that's just there's got to be something performance based, something to really fuck each other up or yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you had a group task and maybe like the last 4 just suck, and then have nots. Because I get nervous. You're picking also, and that make this very bullyish. You can have a problem. You know, you have a problem.
Yeah.
You know, these are not nice people in America. You're thinking of Australians. They'd be very fair and nice. It's not like that.
Like, I'm almost surprised that the way it works now is like they just kind of rotate through it. Like you would think that it would be more like, no, Taylor's going to be a have-not every week, you know?
Yeah. I am surprised that they're being nice about it. But I think that's also just selfish too, because then it's still saying like, well, look, I mean, I took this on. You're going to nominate me. I took this on. It's less about doing it to somebody else as more like, now look at me, I'm the martyr.
Yeah.
But,
well,
I think with that, we're done. So you can find us on the socials at BB Jury Duty or on the flashy website, bbjuryduty.com. We don't know when we're going to be back. We're going to be back Wednesday. Just kidding. Wednesday.
Challenge USA.
Yeah, that's at 10:30. Challenge USA. Yes. Now, Big Brother peoples, I don't know. I don't know. We're really messed up by this Florida eviction. Um,
Yeah.
because Friday night, I'm going to a baseball game.
Oh,
I'm not around on Friday
nice.
either.
I know you're working.
No, I'm actually seeing my friend perform at 54 Below.
Oh, wow. She says, the hell with work. I'm going out tonight. I don't know. So, I mean, like, maybe Saturday morning? Ugh. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
We'll
We'll
have to
figure it
figure it
out.
out. We just don't know what to tell our friends. Check the socials, BB Jury Duty. Thanks for hanging out. And we're out of here. You guys are not going to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
I was waiting
never
for a
say-
wave. Like,